Hello everybody, my name is Isaiah, CEO here of Jubilee Homes in Southern Indiana, and our mission is to help you be set free by being able to get into tiny home ownership. And so we do that by providing you a good venue of videos that you can watch that will help explain to you and get into the details and nitty-gritty of tiny home ownership. My family has been building homes for the last 42 years, and I'm passionate about helping people get into affordable housing solutions and to build wealth and to be able to get passive income for life by owning rentals that will pay all your expenses. So let's jump right in. So today we're going to talk about planning and zoning, I should say. Your local planning and zoning office on can you or can't you put a tiny home wherever you want to put it, right? So there's a lot of nuance to this, and I will tell you what, every planning and zoning office has lots of rules. So, and all these rules change all the time because there's always a meeting every month and they're like, hey, we need to change the rules. Where we used to allow tiny homes, now we don't, now we, blah, blah, blah. They're always changing rules. And that being said, they're very flexible usually to maybe doing variances as long as you are complying with whatever their goals are. And these are real people. It's usually a board that makes all these rules, and just as likely as they could approve you, they could also deny you to get a tiny home, and you might want to come over and over. And I've seen people that have tried 3 or 4 times until they got the stamp of approval. So anyway, what I'm saying is these are all rules that are not like police enforceable law, that have like moral codes attached to it, like you can't murder someone or something like this. These rules are just made to help the zoning of the city get to make the city what it wants to look and feel like, and what the tax base of that city is like. So anyway, all I'm saying is there's a lot of flexibility. So just be aware of that when you start looking at these laws and you're like, oh man, the law says I can't do it. Well, that's not an end all be all. So that's my point. So that's step number 1. And number 2 is don't be afraid to go ahead and start looking for approvals to get your tiny home before you actually own the property, or before you actually have 100% decided that that's what you want to do. So those are a couple things to think about. And so I'm going to share my screen, and so I'm going to show you what I just searched. So I'm looking at Louisville, Kentucky. This is close to us. So here is some lots of land. These are infill lots, most of them, where you see there probably was an existing house here, and then over time that house got burned down, demolished, or right here, see, previous home was demolished, which could be a good thing, which means that all the sewer and everything's ready to go right there. And it looks like there's a new house that was just recently built, and then you got an old house on the other side of you. So, anyway, it looks like an interesting, it might be a bad part of town being a lot this cheap. Wouldn't be surprised. But either way, it's a lot, or a place that you might want to live. So, and so the question is, if I buy this lot, can I put a tiny home on this lot? So what did I search? The Louisville, Kentucky zoning ordinance. So this could be, if you're looking at Raleigh, North Carolina, Indianapolis, Indiana, New York, whatever, zoning ordinance. And this will usually get you to the right direction, get you in the right direction. So land development code, here, there's a lot of nuance to all this. So yes, you could start looking at this, and you could start, if your goal is an ADU, or if your goal is to actually own the property, whatever it is, you can start your search by going on here and typing in ADU, and it might give you some accessory dwelling unit rules, or so then the other thing you're going to want to do is you're going to figure out what type of zoning is this, because every address is in, maybe it's an R2 zoning or an R4, which R usually means residential, or maybe it's in commercial zoning or whatever. So you're going to need to figure out what this address is zoned as, And I will stop right here and just say, at this point, it might be simpler to go ahead and just call. Now that you found the Office of Planning and Zoning, now you're like, okay, where is their phone number? Okay, they probably have a phone number, contact us down here. Yes. Oh my goodness, there's so much here. So let's just type in zoning. Nothing, but they have planning. See, planning. So advanced planning, planning and design under codes and regulations. Maybe that's it. Office of Planning, that's probably it. Okay, so I would probably start calling these phone numbers at this point, and I'm actually going to do that in the next video. I'm actually going to call and with you guys and talk about this address and see, and you can see how I speak to them and how it works. So anyway, a little bit of a sideline there, but you can also, to figure out your zoning maps, it kind of gives you a little bit of information here, like, hey, go to your online portal to see what zoning this address is in. So I'm going to let this load up here. Internet's going a little bit slow today. So again, I'm not familiar with this system, but a lot of the systems are similar. You're gonna have layers, and so you're gonna want to see, okay, see if there's something about zoning. Well, here's planning. So remember, it's planning and zoning. Okay, Jefferson zoning general. So I do know that Louisville is in Jefferson County, so I'm assuming that's why it says Jefferson here. Okay, so you can kind of see the colors. So a lot of times, for whatever reason, yellow is residential. If we zoom in, does it tell me? Oh yeah, you can see here, residential is yellow. It's not always the case, but sometimes. So sometimes it makes you zoom in to see. So here, I'm looking at this purple here. So this is commercial. You might be like, oh, it's commercial, but what type of commercial? Because there's all this nuance to it. So we can see, all right, well, I want zoning detailed. Maybe that's what it is. Oh, okay, see? C1, C2, R5, R7. Okay, so here's where you're seeing your different residential districts. See, I had to click that button. Anyway, you're going to have to figure out on your own your area and how their zoning maps work. Maybe your zoning maps don't even look like this, but at least you can kind of give examples. So now we know, hey, this is R5 or whatever. So then when we go back to the code, we can look here. And again, you see how this code March 2006, but it was updated in 2023? It's always being updated. So if we go here, we can see office, commercial, industrial, residential. Okay, well, here's your R zonings that we talked about. So maybe we need to go to this number in this pamphlet, this huge 821-page pamphlet, and see what it says, what you can and can't do in residential. I know it can be a little bit scary, especially if it's your first time. So that's where I would call. Hey, look, there's a phone number right there. Awesome. So that's where you would call and start talking to a professional that's their job, and they will help you to guide you. And again, if you get a no, that's not necessarily a no. You just need to ask more questions and really get to the bottom of it. And really the best is if you could set a meeting to show up in person, and then you could, a lot of times when you're in person, people know that you're more serious. So I highly recommend that. So if you've enjoyed this video, please put your comments down below and go ahead and do it in your own city, your own county, wherever you're at. Go through these steps to find on their website, their zoning ordinance, so you can start getting your head around what you should do next.